All right, so let's get into this. I've got some baseball and some basketball that I'm going to be going through tonight. So I've got some 96 Ray Allen and Allen Iverson, a few Derek Jeter rookies, Kevin Garnett, and some 92 Shaq stuff. Nothing real big, but I'm waiting to put this together for a while because I wanted to do it as a video or as a stream. So, yeah, I am super excited. This is the first time I've gone live on YouTube, and I'm just having so much fun with this. Being able to share this hobby, and something I love with everybody is just a real blessing. So thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting the channel. If you're seeing this and you haven't, go ahead, subscribe, leave me some feedback. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you'd like to see. And we'll go ahead and get into this. I want to check one more thing. Yeah, it should be good. All right, so I thought I'd start out, make this as easy as possible. The first thing when I'm going through and looking for cards that might be possible submissions is I'm going to look at centering. So if you see on this Pete Alonso 2017 Bowman, you see there's this border right here and the top border right there. So those should be even. This bottom corner is a little bit tougher, especially this right side. Really, I feel like that logo should have the same spacing on this side as it does on the bottom. But I'm thrown off a little bit because the spacing underneath the bottom here, it's just really hard to tell. So I'm going to look at some of these, and then what I'll do is I'll go on eBay at some point, probably right now, and look at PSA 10s. These are not selling for a lot right now. I kind of expect that to change, so that's kind of where I'm going. Pete Alonso is a great buy right now. Oh my gosh. For a guy that in his rookie year hit 53 homers, and this year, had it been a full season, at the rate he was at, he would have hit close to 50, 48, I think. So that's just ridiculous. And the big thing is that the Mets got that new owner that's by far the wealthiest owner in Major League Baseball, and has already said, like, he's going for it. This is not an investment type thing for him. This is not something that he's necessarily doing for money. It's something he's doing for fun, and he's wanting to make a serious run at the World Series. So with Pete Alonso's potential, his home run potential, and being on that team with that owner, oh my gosh, I just think these are just super undervalued right now. And I'm trying to pick up as much as I can, but really, I've just got so much stuff that I've been picking up lately. I've just found so many holes in this market that, which is good. I'm not focusing on the same thing. I'm spreading my money out across a lot of different plays, and that's a good thing. That helps. Diversify, helps me diversify. And so some of them are going to hit, some of them aren't, but at least I've got that average in between the ones that do go up in value and the ones that maybe don't so much, or maybe go down. If Pete Alonso was to get injured this season, his stuff could go down considerably. So let's see. I'm not really looking at pricing here. As you can see, these are super cheap, and I really should be picking some up in a PSA 10. You know, they're going for 20 bucks or less. So, you know, it's cheaper just to buy them graded right now than it is to have them graded. So you see, this is a chrome. I'm going to try to find the paper version, which is even going to be cheaper. I mean, heck, the chrome in a PSA 10 are going for, you know, 20 bucks a piece. So let's see here. You got a guy with one asking 50 bucks. Of course, you can ask whatever you want. It's eBay. And if you look at this one, see how that logo is more centered? You know, it's a lot more centered in that bottom right corner. And you've got more room underneath the name tag. Actually, the top left corner doesn't look that centered, but they did give this a 10, and there is some they do give you a little bit of leeway when it comes to centering at PSA. So, you know, that's a thing. Again, this bottom right corner looks a little more centered than the one that I first started off looking at. So gonna keep a note of that. More Bowman chrome. There's a paper. Maybe these paper, I don't have to go. The main thing is, you know, let's see, keep the main thing, focus on this grading, but I would like to see what these are actually selling for. So you go here, go to sold listings. Let me make sure my stream's coming up okay. Yeah, go to sold listings, sold items, and you can do it on your phone by going to the top right corner and filtering out for sold and completed items. And so, here, you know, the paper versions and the chrome versions are going for about the same. So that being the case, what I would do is there's a paper version that sold for 50 bucks. And these are, I like to, actually that's lowest. That is, why can't I set this? That is sorting everything by lowest price right now. Let's see if I can set it to, it's not letting me use the drop down up here. But anyways, what I would do, I would go to PSA and I would look up the population of PSA 10s for Bowman paper and Bowman chrome, because a lot of times, I mean, it's possible the paper could be a lot more rare than the chrome. They might have made a lot more chrome than they did straight Bowman paper. But also the thing you got to keep in mind is the paper might be looked at as less valuable, so there's not as many people sending them in to grade. So when you look at those population numbers, keep in mind that it's based on whether people think this card is worth grading right now. And, you know, for a big part of 2019, people would have said, yeah, this 2017 Pete Alonso second Bowman is worth grading. But for the last, you know, year, probably not. They would have looked at sold listings and said, you know, 50 bucks. Why would I spend 20 bucks to get this card graded? So that's kind of how I look at that. But let's get back to actually grading these cards. So what I'll do in a case where I've got a bunch of the same card here is I will go through and really quickly just look at centering. So that's not bad, but I don't think that bottom right corner is centered enough. I really don't. The same with this one. This one's better. This one here is a lot better. So I'm going to set that in the maybe pile. This one's off. This one's off. This one's probably good enough. That one's off. That one is pretty good. That one's off. That one's off. That one's off. And I'll look more at these, but right now I'm wanting to do a quick, that's a good one, a quick run through and just see what potential I've got here. Those all look good. All right, so that's the first step that I'd go through if I had a bunch of cards like these, is go through and do centering. Centering would be the first thing that I would look at. All right, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these out, and I'm going to look at other factors. So I'm going to tilt them and try to get a glare to where I can see surface conditions. Make sure there's no surface imperfections. That one looks good. And I'm going to look at corners, edges. And so far, everything looks good. I'm going to take my little microfiber cloth here. I'm just going to wipe off anything that might be stuck to that. I'm going to get a real good look at these corners. I've got a 10-inch, 8-inch LED lit magnifying lamp that I use to grade, and I really think that's the way to go. It's got a variable brightness control, so you can adjust the brightness to kind of make it easier to see depending on your preference. But there's a link to that down in most of the descriptions of my videos. So I would really recommend that. I've seen other guys recommend smaller, more loop style, what I would call loop style, like jeweler's loop. So this is a jeweler's loop. I got this when I first started grading a long time ago. And with these, and the same with the lighted ones, you really have to, let me see if I can show this. So like if I just go over a card here, like it's going to be upside down for one, and it's not going to show me really anything. I have to actually basically put this jeweler's loop on this card, like physically on the card, to get it to where I can actually see anything. And even then, it's just hard to deal with. It causes a lot of eye strain, and if you're doing a lot of this, then you don't want that. So I'm going to stay away from those. Any of the smaller magnifying devices. So this card looks good. This card looks good. I'm going to put it in as, you know, a potential. I might look at that again before I send it off, but for right now, I really like the way this looks. Yeah, that's a good one. That looks like a good one. And picked up a little tip from the Pac-Man on YouTube. Just a great guy to watch. He almost has like an ASMR style, really calming, fun guy to watch when it comes to pack openings, box openings. Mainly basketball probably, but does a lot of stuff. Pac-Man's probably, he's one of the biggest YouTube creators in the sports card community, if not the biggest, honestly. I mean, it's kind of a small community yet. You've got your, you got your fly-by-nights, your kind of general influencers like Logan Paul and people like that attract big followings. But for the guys that are specifically sports cards guys, yeah, there's not a lot of huge ones, but Pac-Man has, gosh, close to 100,000 subscribers, if not more. And, his videos regularly get, has videos that get close to 1 million views. So, yeah, and there's a reason for that. The guy's got a great personality. He's really fun to watch. Spends a lot of resources on trying to bring good value and fun value. Does breaks, has a strong community. And, on his breaks, some of his personal breaks, he might break $5,000 worth of basketball or any sport. But this has got a little ding in the corner right there. It's just got a little ding. So I'm going to put that aside. That could come back a 10, but I think that would be an oversight. If that came back a 10, that means somebody's looking at that and they didn't catch it. But yeah, Pac-Man. If you haven't seen Pac-Man, check out Pac-Man. He's a really cool guy. Really fun to watch. But yeah, so that I'm going to put that aside. There is a lot of chance for stuff to get missed at PSA. So take into account, if I'm sending in a submission of 20 or more cards, I'm paying $12 or $15 depending on the age, for a regular 100-day submission, which is going to take 6 to 8 months. But let's just say, most of this stuff I'm going to send in for a regular 100-day submission. So for $12 on a, say, 2013 Bryce Harper, for $12, they are receiving that product, they are sorting that product, they are grading that product, they are doing a quality control, they are sealing that product in a case, in a graded slab, they're slabbing that product, and then they're shipping that out. So, all the steps in that process, for $12, I just don't think they can be looking at these cards for very long at all. I mean, I would guess a couple, like 2 minutes, and they say that they have multiple people, like at least 2 people look at each card. So if that's the case, I'm just a guess, I would say that each grader is looking at each of these lower value cards, $100, $200, $300 cards in a PSA 10, that they're looking at these for a minute a piece, 60 seconds a piece. That's what I'm guessing. I like to run numbers, and, maybe that's close, maybe it's not. But, all of that considered for $12, I can't imagine that they're looking at each of these cards for much longer than that. Maybe, but I'd have to doubt it. Hey, Jesse Nunez. What's up, man? Jesse says, what's up? What's up, Jesse? How's it going? I really appreciate all your support on the channel. I just started up and decided to give this a whirl. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I am excited about growing a community. People like you that are excited about sports cards and are willing to put up with me, and hopefully we'll both learn a little something along the way. And so thank you very much for all of your participation in the chat and the live stream here. This is my first live stream, so yeah, what is up, Jesse? If you have any questions or, just want to chat about anything, then please, ask. Let me know. I'm happy to talk about anything. I try not to hold anything back. There are some plays right now that I'm making that it's not that I'm really hiding them, but, I want to present it in a way that's good for the channel and builds the community. So I'm kind of putting some planning and preparation into some of the more exciting finds that I've made. I've been looking at a lot of 2001 Ichiro Suzuki rookies. There's several different Topps parallels to look at in that for Ichiro rookies, whether it's chrome, traded, base. There's different parallels of base, and I've been looking at those really hard, and I think there's some really great buying opportunities out there for those. 90s basketball. 96 is the Kobe, the Allen Iverson, the Ray Allen, and the Steve Nash rookie year. And then you've also got Jordan and different ones from that era. But 96, 97, and 98 are great values. Jesse Nunez, just curious, what's your most expensive card? I don't have a lot of super expensive cards. Most of the stuff that I get in, I will sell. So I don't hold a lot of super expensive cards. I sold, let's see, I had 2 Mike Trout PSA 10s and a complete set of 2011 update that I sold in 2018. And for $2,500. So definitely a lot less than what they're going for now. But I am plenty happy with that as far as... Oh, wow. Bonnie. Hey, I like your stream about the junk wax box era. It seems so surreal. Yeah. The junk wax era was a lot of fun. It really was. It was a lot of fun. It was kind of crazy. I was talking to a card shop owner today and just asking, because in 1987, I was 4 years old. In 1989, when the Griffey came out, I was 6. I do remember it because I grew up. My dad was a big collector, not of like high value stuff, but he was a set builder, and he was always, he bought product every year. And really, from the time I can remember, I've been immersed kind of in collecting cards and everything that goes along with it. But yeah, I was talking to a card shop owner today, and I was asking him, like, do you remember the craziness? I kind of do, but do you remember what the craziest stuff was from the early 90s, the junk wax era? And he said, yeah, there wasn't as nearly as much. But he said, I was talking to a guy who had a stand when the 89 Upper Deck came out at a big card show. And that guy was telling him, he said, when that Griffey hype was real, he said, people were coming into the show and buying boxes of 89 Upper Deck so fast. He said, I had to throw money on the floor. I couldn't take the time to actually sort the cash. So I would throw money on the floor, and my 7-8-year-old daughter would go through and pick it all up. And as crazy as that is, like there was such a line of people, and so many people that he didn't even have time to sort cash. He would just buy, sell a box, throw the cash on the floor, next person sell another box, and his young daughter would go around and pick everything up. So that's pretty crazy. I don't specifically remember that. I do remember the hype, and there was stuff. This card's got a little ding there. There was stuff that sold for above retail. There was retail product that sold for greater than MSRP, but nothing like what we see now. Nothing like that. Like, you might have some Upper Deck SP that retailed at, $3 a pack, and maybe, you're paying $8. Maybe you're paying $8 a pack at the card shop or at the card show or whatever. Not like now where, retails retails maybe $5 a pack, and your resale on that is 40 or 50, something like that. This is just crazy. And I could go into a whole thing, but the modern card era is a lot of fun to participate in, what we see ourselves in right now. Personally, I wouldn't give a lot of credit to it long term, but it is a lot of fun right now. It's fun to participate in. So, yeah, that's it for the Pete Alonsos. I've got 4 here out of maybe 17 that I think have a good shot at a PSA 10. 9, 12, 15, 16. So 20 out of 24 out of 20, I think have a good shot. And these other 16, I will relist these. I will relist these on eBay. But I will relist them as near mint. So I'm not going to try to, just put nothing or pass these off as potentially PSA 10s. I'll put near mint 8 on these and sell them that way, and, if there's somebody out there that wants them, I can't remember what I paid for these. It wasn't a lot. It might have been like, I don't know, $1 a piece or something like that. It wasn't a lot, but I got 4 that I feel comfortable with, and I can make some of my money back, and that's a pretty good deal. Got some Corey Seager here. These are 2018 Corey Seager. So we've got the base tops 2018. Is that the gold? I think that's the gold. Yeah, 1537 out of 2018. And then the chrome refractor Corey Seager. So again, these cards probably aren't super gradable. I've got some Corey Seager rookies somewhere around here, but I don't know where they are. I just had these sitting aside, so I thought I'd look at them. And I'll probably go through these two at least. But yeah, I think the junk wax era product, it's starting to get more attention now, but it's really, I think, undervalued and overlooked. Because just like I was going through those 1987 vending boxes, the population on those cards, the Barry Bonds in a PSA 10, the population's 1,300 PSA 10s. Okay, so that doesn't take into account. This card's got a little nick out of this edge. I don't know if you can see it. It's just got a little nick right there. So for me, that's enough that I'm going to set it aside. It's not a real high value card. Maybe if it was, down the road, Corey Seager gets more attention, it was a higher value card, then I would consider it more. But for now, I'm going to set it aside. But yeah, so a couple things go into play when it comes to those junk wax era cards. For one, they came out of the factory it was a lot harder to get a PSA 10 out of the factory. So these modern cards, you'll see gem rates. So basically a gem rate is cards that are sent in that are cards, basically cards that are sent in that receive a PSA 10. So if there's 100 cards that are sent in and 65 of those 100 get a PSA 10 and the rest get a 9 or an 8 or whatever, then that would be a gem rate of 65%. So coming out of the factory, like those 1997 and basically all through the 80s mainly, but then into the 90s too, you've got big centering issues, you'll have surface issues, you'll have a lot of things that go into play that just makes it harder to get a PSA 10 out of the pack or out of the box. And then the other thing is those cards, since they were made basically, have been considered, having zero to very little value, for the most part. So people were not protecting those cards. Right now you've got people's, one thing, PSA started in the early 90s, 91 I think, is when they first started. But now you've got people that are sending most of their modern product into PSA directly out of the pack. As soon as it leaves the pack, if it's centered well, somebody knows what they're looking at and it's centered well, then they are sending that product in directly out of the pack. Back then, condition was starting to be more considered. You saw a lot more stuff going in top loaders and penny sleeves. But and grading's been around for, yeah, I would say since the 70s it's been taken seriously. Grading has, but so you did look at condition back then, but you didn't protect stuff as well. So a lot of stuff would go into top loaders without penny sleeves. That's going to cause different types of damage. A lot of stuff wouldn't get protected at all, And so the I guess what I'm trying to get at here is I guess what I'm trying to get at here is that the amount of cards that exist in a PSA 10 from that and previous eras is much lower than the percentage is much lower of that produced. So somebody wrote the other day that there were 5 million Griffey or Sammy Sosa Topps rookies printed in 1990. All right, or 91, one or the other, I can't remember. And there have been, 300,000 Luca prisms, okay? Well, maybe there were. I don't think there were. That number seems way, way, way too high. But maybe there were 5 million, Sammy Sosa Topps rookies printed. Of that 5 million, I would say a very, very small percentage are gradable in a PSA 10. Whereas your modern cards, if you had 300,000 and, there's 50,000 that grade a PSA 10, and there's 5,000 Sammy Sosa rookies, scarcity, I say it all the time, I harp on it, and I don't mean to turn people off, but it really is in all markets when it comes to supply and demand. Scarcity is very, very, very important. Supply, it's the supply, that is the definition of supply, is of supply in supply and demand. So, it's very important. It might not be important right now when the market is hot and the hype is up, and it might not be that important, but the market will not be up forever. It will go down, and it will go down significantly. It always has had these turns of events, and scarcity will become an issue. Scarcity wasn't an issue for a lot of the great superstars, when they first started. The hype was real, but down the line, or fifth year, sixth year, it becomes an issue. Even LeBron, LeBron rookies were only going for about $500 2 or 3 years ago. Now they're 4,000. So it's something to keep in mind. But anyways, Bonnie, I saw your comment, and I've been meaning to get to it, but I was on my soapbox ranting. So, is it better to submit multiple cards of the same card to PSA, or just send a few of the same cards? What's your opinion on getting that 9 or 10? I would say it is better to be able to send multiple cards. I would say it is better. Because what I can do is, even if I think all of the cards I have are capable of receiving a 10, I can take the one that is maybe the least likely and put it in front. Then I can take the one that's second least down to the one that's most likely. So the odds are a little bit better that when that grader is looking through those cards, and I would order them, together in that order, that they look at this one, maybe this one gets a 9, maybe this one gets a 9, but then they say, these 3 are better, these 3 get a 10, as opposed to sending one card that's maybe a little off center, and gets a 9 that would get a 10 if it was compared to other very good condition cards. What I would say is, if you're starting out submitting, pay a lot of attention to the condition of PSA 10s and 9s on eBay. Look at those a lot, of whatever card it is, and get a feel for what they expect, because PSA grades every year, every design differently, a little bit differently. So in years where there's, serious condition, considerations, late 90s Flir metal, you know, some of those 80s when it comes to centering, those will all be taken into account, especially vintage cards. They will be given more of a pass on certain issues. So that's really important. And I would say there's some modern stuff like that too. So like Prism has big centering issues. A lot of the stuff that comes out of Prism has centering issues. And I think a lot of the PSA 10s that I've seen are probably a little bit more off center than what they should be for a PSA 10. So I think they consider that whenever they're grading those cards. So back to your question. I think it's better to submit cards that you feel very confident about. So as you see me going through these, you'll see me tossing stuff out that I'm not completely confident about sending that card in, that it has a very, very good chance of getting a 10. All right, so I do think it is better to send multiple cards in at the same time, a little bit better. But mainly, don't send anything in that you can't live with if it comes back in a lower grade. So I mainly try to focus on sending cards in that that the grade I want, and if they come back a grade below what I think they should get and what I want, I'm still happy with that. So whether that's a card that, you know, I think it's got a good chance at a 10 sells for $100 and a 9 sells for 40, you know, and I've got $20 in that card. Well, basically, if it comes back a 9, then I make my money back, maybe plus a little bit. If it comes back a 10, then I make some money. So I'm okay with that. That's how I look at it. Is I want to send a card in that I'm very happy if it comes back in the grade that I expect, whether that's a 10 or a 9 or whatever. In some vintage cards, that might be a 6. Or a 4 or 3 or whatever. But if it comes back in the grade that I expect, then I'm very happy. If it comes back in one grade lower, then I'm fine with that. And if it comes back lower than that happens. There are things you miss. But I feel confident sending that card in. That would be my advice as far as that question. I hope that answered what you were asking there. Jesse, that's 500 IQ. I don't know exactly what you're referring to, but thank you. I hope that I have some creative ways of looking at this hobby. My track record would say that I do, but I hope so. That's what I'm here for, is to find ways of... You really have to find ways of making money in this industry that everybody else doesn't already know about, because if everybody else already knows about it, then there's not a lot of money to be had there. There are things when it comes to grading that, you know, you can that can basically, skill will make you money in that case. But otherwise, you know, the guy with the same skill, if he's buying a card, you know, if the cards are going for $120, you know, raw, and they're only worth 200 or 250 in a PSA 10, then there's not much skin in the game there. You know, that's not much of a deal. And that's what you see demand and supply equaling out. And you got to find more creative ways to really have a good chance of limiting your risk and maximizing your reward or potential. So these Mike Yastrzemskis, couple things on these. I've already gone through, I think I bought close to 20 of these too. So I've already gone through and knocked it down to 5 potential candidates, and then I'm going through them again. So first thing, it's got a little surface scratch right there, and I don't think I can get that out. No, that is a scratch. Okay, and it might have come right there when I took it out of that top loader, and I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. But that's a thing. The other thing I would look at is this outline right here. Is that outline around his image the same everywhere? Okay, so you'll also see this in modern chrome and prism cards. So that can be off of the image to the point to where that would be considered a print defect. PSA 10s can allow for some print defect, but if it's too far off, then it will keep it from getting a 10. So that one's pretty good. So like you do see some space there, but you also see about the same amount of space everywhere around the image. Centering's good on this. It's not perfect. There is more on this right side than there's on the bottom, but it is good. Like I think it's close enough. It's on that borderline, but it's close enough. But those surface scratches, I'm probably going to expect this to come back a 9. So I'm going to set that aside. And I honestly don't know if any of these Mike Yastrzemskis will ever get graded. They're selling pretty well right now. I do think Mike Yastrzemski's a good play, even though he's older. Like he was a rookie last year, but Mike Yastrzemski, last year. But he's 30 years old. Mike's 30 years old. He'll be 31 next year. Took him a long time to get to the majors. Had a great year last year, and I still think that if he has another year or two, another good year or two, that his cards will do well. He's in a good market out in California, in San Francisco, and if he has another good year or two, I think these cards are definitely worth grading. I think they're going for about $100 in a PSA 10 right now, or they were at one point in time when I bought them. But I think that could definitely go up. Like I said, we live in a big-time hype market. So when I'm taking these out, I do not stick my fingers in there. Not that that's necessarily wrong, but that's not how I do it. I will just hit them against my arm and kind of pop them out. But sometimes when you do that, the card gets ahead of the sleeve. And if the card gets ahead of the sleeve and it rubs against this top edge, especially on these chrome cards, it can scratch them. I've done that several times, actually. All right, so right there, the sleeve is sticking out. The card is still in that penny sleeve, and that one's all right. That one's going to be okay. That's not going to cause any scratching from that. But it can. If the card gets ahead of the sleeve, when it comes out of there, it can cause issues. This one's good. This one's good. One thing you'll notice, there's a little brown dot right there. That brown dot is on every one of these cards. I thought that was a print defect, and I started looking them up, and every PSA 10, PSA 9, every one that I found has that little brown dot. I have no idea what that's from, but indeed it does. So I'm comfortable with that, sending that in. That's I think that's a definite PSA candidate right there. It's a definitely got a chance at a 10. And again, I am going to do my little Pac-Man trick here. Cut the side out of this penny sleeve. And then you don't take a chance of catching that corner whenever you're sticking these in there. I'm really bad about that, so what I'll do, I'll stick it all the way in, start tilting it, and you'll see it is already, it has room to go in a little lower, and you miss that corner, that bottom right corner. So that one's got a good shot. Jesse, what is up? So anyways, yeah. But back to your earlier question, Jesse, about picked up that trick too. Yeah, that's a great trick. That's a great trick. Jesse said picked up that trick too. It is a great trick. And you definitely want to be as careful as possible if you're wanting to get these graded. because every little thing can take away from potentially getting that big grade. Back to your earlier question, I do sell most of the high dollar cards that I get in, and I have had several, but I do sell pretty much all of them. My money, where I spend my money, pretty much all of my money goes in the hobby is, and this might sound odd, it goes into 1971 Topps baseball. That is where all of my money ends up. That's where I feel safe with it. It's one of my favorite sets of all time. It has a ton of collectible value. It's very condition sensitive. It was the first set to ever feature action shots in base cards. I could go on and on about 1971 Topps baseball, but I'm not going to right now. But that is why pretty much everything I get that has a high value, will get sold at some point or another. Because if I could say I consider myself a collector in that specific set of cards. Everything else kind of goes towards that lifetime goal of creating a full PSA set of 1971 Topps baseball. That's my overall goal. So PSA has a set registry where you go in and you put in your serial numbers for all of your graded cards, and they keep track of them for that set. And there are full PSA graded sets of pretty much every year, at least all the vintage years. I'm not much of a modern guy. I am a modern guy. I would say I am a modern guy. I love modern cards. As far as collecting, I would collect some modern cards of really, cards that I like or important cards, especially high grade ones like some of these Ichiro rookies I have. I would definitely keep a PSA 10 of one of those. If I get any LeBron rookies in, I would definitely keep some PSA 10 LeBron rookies. Trouts, if I get any more Trouts in, I would probably keep one. Just depends. I mean, there's all kinds of buying opportunities, but I've learned that if you can make money in this hobby, then it's best to take your wins when you can get them and move on. Keep rolling. That's kind of how I look at it. So I am a modern guy. I really enjoy the modern stuff, but from a investing standpoint and a collection, mainly, a collecting standpoint, I decided a long time ago that when it came to vintage is the best investment. It has the lowest risk and a pretty high reward. And I decided that I would focus on one set, 1 year, one set, and that set and year is 1971 Topps baseball. So I have about 3,000 1971 Topps baseball right now, mostly raw, some in really good condition, quite a few in really good condition. And so I go through from time to time and I'll sell off my lower condition stuff, and I'll continue to try to upgrade my collection of 1971 into higher grades. That's mainly my focus. Now that stuff has gone up considerably in the last, and like everything else in the last year, it has gone up considerably. But that's kind of how I look at it. That's my bank account. That's my safety deposit box right there. Everything kind of goes back into that. Can I do a stream on vintage 1971 baseball or just vintage in general? Yes, that is definitely something I can and will do. I will definitely do that. I'm planning, I've got so many videos that I want to make right now. And right now is tough. Like, I have basically in the last 2 months taught myself how to use Photoshop, taught myself how to use Adobe Premiere, taught myself, I've had to learn all this stuff because it was really exciting and important to me to be able to do this on YouTube. And I have a long-term plan of how to create this community and provide value to this community. And so, just because I was really excited about it, I taught myself to do all this stuff. And I have a ton of videos that I want to make, but I want to make the best quality videos that I can make. So I'm kind of putting some thought into that and trying to, obviously you have to put videos out to grow your channel, to grow your community. I understand that. And a lot of stuff I just throw together as best I can. But when it comes to the stuff that I feel like is important to me, is important to make, is important for people to learn, then I definitely want to put more time and effort into that. Do I want to send this in? The centering's a little off on this. But yes, I will definitely do a stream and some videos, probably several, on 1971 Topps Baseball. People are probably going to get annoyed by my videos on 1971 Topps Baseball. And I will do some stuff on vintage as well, definitely, because there is a lot of buying opportunities and important things and interesting things to know about vintage cards. And I do think it's really important for people to be aware of vintage and what's coming into vintage. Like, early 80s is becoming important in vintage. Now, as far as PSA is concerned, 1971 just came into where it's considered vintage, which kind of sucks, but it's kind of good. So I can't send in my 1980s stuff and my 1971 stuff in the same submission under the same pay category. But anyways, it's just been considered vintage. But a lot of the 1980, like you look at the 1980 Ricky Henderson PSA 10, the 1980 Ricky Henderson was not really considered up until the last few years. It was, but not nearly as much. And now people are really starting to look at that. They're starting to look at the more scarce products from the 1980s. Topps Tiffany, which was like a premium version of the base Topps sets that came out in the late 80s. It was called Topps Tiffany, and it was like glossy. It had a white back as opposed to an off-white back. And it was given out, as far as I know, to card store owners. I think it was limited to 10,000 sets. And Bonnie, very nice, and thank you for the late stream. Well, thank you. I was up kind of late last night making a video, and I took a nap around 4 and woke up around 9, and so I really wanted to do this stream, and I'm glad that there are people that are here and that are willing to watch it. So thank you very much for participating in my late stream. Yeah, but yeah, that's when I say scarcity matters, that's why it matters. Like, a lot of this stuff from the 80s, the stuff that's valuable is the stuff that's scarce. So like Topps Tiffany, and then Flir did one that was more premium version of their base set, and it was called Flir Glossy. Score did one. Score did Score Glossy, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to set that to the side. That's a little bit more off-center than what I'm comfortable with. 1984 Flir update. I actually have some here. This is part of a video that I'm getting ready to make. I am going to send these into a third-party submission service because you can't get 20-day submissions through PSA right now. They've ended your ability to get a 20-day submission, but through a third-party service that I've identified that I really like, they will send in a 20-day bulk submission, and they send up in like 500 to 1,000 cards at a time for $28. So that's a pretty good deal. You know, their 20-day submissions are coming back in about 3 months, and you know, as an individual, if you send in a 45-day submission, you're looking at 6 to 8 months. They said their 100-day submissions. What did they say? I think they said their 45-day submissions. Well, whatever. Their lower dollar submissions, like $13, $15 submissions, are coming back in about 6 months, but their 20 days are coming back in about 2 to 3 months. So for $28 a card, up to a $500 maximum value, you can go through this third-party submission. And like I said, I am putting together a video on that because I think it is really important. If you want to get your cards back, you know, in half the time that it would take, if you're not sending in a bunch of cards, or you just want to get them back quicker, or you have a card that's maybe a little more valuable that you want to send in, then I would definitely recommend looking into a third-party service. Now, it does create more links in the chain, so I'm recommending this guy because he was recommended to me through a big card personality, and I looked into him, followed him for a while, and I really like the way he does things, and I think he'll do a good job. So I am going to be making a video about using a third-party submission service because I think it has a lot of benefits and value. So these are both 1984 Flir update out of the 1984 Flir update set, a set that is very scarce and contains the Roger Clemens and Kirby Puckett rookie cards. And that makes them even more scarce, that a lot of times they're off center and they don't qualify for a PSA 10. I was very lucky in that the set of 1984 Flir update that I had the two main cards in a very good condition. This Roger Clemens is a little off-white, or it's a little bit whiter. This Kirby Puckett's a little more off-white, but from what I can tell, they have graded 10s that are a little more off-white, and that's another thing going into how they grade every set a little bit differently. This Clemens has a little nick in the edge there, but if these come back a 9 or an 8, you know, I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine however these come back because they're protected, they're authenticated. If these come back in a 10, this Roger Clemens sells for about $1,500 in a 10. This Kirby Puckett sells for about $1,000, and I expect that to go up. I think Roger Clemens has a very, very, very good shot at getting into the Hall of Fame this year. And Barry Bonds too. So they're not doing a eras committee. I got this information through a YouTuber called Baseball Card Collector Investor Dealer. That's his channel, and he's super knowledgeable. I highly recommend him. But he's talking about how this year's Hall of Fame class, Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds are basically have the best stats to get into the Hall of Fame. This is their 9th year. Next year would be, not this year, but the next season would be their last chance at their first round of Hall of Fame. Other than that, they would have to get into the vintage or era committee, who takes an era of baseball and nominates people every year, except for this year. They're not going to nominate anybody this year because of coronavirus issues. So only people that are on their first round of ballots will be considered this year. And even though Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds are involved in the steroid era, I think that's going away. Half your guys that are over the age of 40 are on some type of testosterone for low T or whatever. Maybe not half, but a lot of them. And anyways, thoughts and times are changing, and I think they've got a really good shot. So all that being said, I get to gabbing. Yeah, I will probably, if this comes back, I will probably hold this card regardless of what grade it comes back in, but I'm really excited about these. Catch up on some comments. Can you send cards into PSA? Anthony Garmani, I'm sorry if I say your name wrong. Garmani, can you send cards into PSA in your average top loader? As far as I know, you can now. They didn't used to allow that, but from what I understand, there is a shortage of card supplies. There's a shortage of these flexible, semi-rigid card holders, the card savers. there's a shortage of those. Actually, on BCW's website, you can't get these except for back order, and the back order doesn't come in until January or February, I think. So anyways, PSA has started, from what I know, has started allowing people to send in top loaders. How I would recommend sending a card in a top loader would be, again, put a tab on. I'm not doing that right now because I've run out of these dang tabs, and I don't want to use the paper Post-it notes. I have a little bit, but you have to cut them, and it's just a mess. So anyways, I'll put them on later. But anyways, I would put a tab on, and then I would put them in a team bag. So I use these graded card sleeves for my team bags because they just work for both. This is PSA size resealable CSP Collect, Save, and Protect graded card sleeves. You can get these on Amazon for 100 bags for, I don't know how much, $5, something like that. Actually, I should put a link to these. There might be a link to these down in the description of my, probably not this stream, but most of my videos. There should be a link. There's links, Amazon affiliate links, which also help out the channel and help out me. But there's usually links to most of the stuff that I use. And nowadays, Amazon is kind of it's kind of the best way to get card supplies right now, because a lot of the places don't have them. Or your local card shop. I would highly recommend your local card shop. So if I'm going to send something in a top loader, I'm going to put it in a team bag. I don't like tape because then they have to take the tape off to get the card out, and they don't like that at PSA or the submission services. So you put it in backwards, or I like to put it in backwards so that the flap's not on the front. Close it up, and then your card doesn't fly out. I would close it up a little bit tighter than that. But yeah, you can, as far as I know, I haven't done it, but you can, as far as I know, send in top loaders now. They are allowing that. I have seen PSA Collector and some other credible YouTubers that have said, yes, they are allowing top loaders now. So that would be the answer to that question. What are your opinions on GMA grading service? Is it even worth it to send them to GMA or another grading service? At this point, I would say no. GMA does not have hardly any credibility in the hobby. So no, not even, I don't even think, even it just to get your card slabbed and protected, it's not worth it. You can do that through SGC or BGS or PSA for pretty much the same money. It might take a little longer, but the resale of GMA cards, because their grading has been so much different over the years, is so much lower. I mean, it's like half the price on a GMA 10. I mean, it's raw. It's a lot of times it's less than what raw cards sell for. So no, I definitely would not recommend GMA. SGC is getting better. I would recommend buying SGCs right now, especially the 9.5s. From my experience, SGC, modern SGC grading, and even back, when they did fractional grades, like they did 0 to 100 grades back in the day, like 5 or 10 years ago. But SGC, I think, from what I've seen, grades pretty much the same. I would say the same as PSA and BGS for the most part. BGS is a little harder to get a 9.5. A BGS 9.5 should be usually a PSA 10. An SGC 9.5, I would say, has a 50% shot of getting a 10 or a 9. So, that being said, SGC 9.5s on eBay right now in most cards are selling for less than what you can buy a PSA 10 for, and sometimes considerably less than what you can buy a PSA 10 or PSA 9, what you can buy a PSA 9 for. So if you take that into consideration, you can buy an SGC 9.5, and I would say it's got a pretty good chance, maybe a 30% chance, of getting a PSA 10. If you send in 10 of them, I would say 10 9.5s, SGC 9.5s, I would say there's a good chance that 3 of them would come back a 10, if not more. And the other ones should come back a 9, maybe 1 or 2 would come back an 8. But anyways, those are your percentages. I think from my experience, please don't hold me to that, but that's just what I think. What I've seen you and what I've heard from other people, that would be the chance. And SGC 9.5s are selling for less than PSA 9s. So a lot of times, even after your cost of grading and shipping and everything, if you buy and crack an SGC 9.5 and submit it, and it comes back a 9, you're still going to break even or make a little money. If it comes back a 10, you're going to make a lot of money, considerable amount of money. And they are just super cheap right now. It's a cheat code. I learned that from Vegas Find 777, another YouTuber. And so I give all the credit to him on that, but I want to share it with my community and with other people because it is a cheat code right now. It is a huge buying opportunity. I've been looking at a ton more SGC cards. And as far as graded cards, that's kind of where I've been looking mostly right now is in SGC, because I do think the grading is very, very similar in how they grade to PSA and BGS. And the cards are just selling for a lot less. I need to catch up on comments. Well, not too much. Opinions on GMA. Love that guy too. Do you mean Clemens, Jesse? You love Clemens? I love Clemens. I honestly think that the steroid era, a lot of guys would agree with me. The older guys, when the steroid era happened and afterwards, they think the sky is falling, it ruined baseball, all this other stuff. In my opinion, it was the most exciting time ever in baseball. I'm not saying it was a good thing. Steroid use is not a good thing. Ruined a lot of guys' chances at the Hall of Fame and kind of hurt their careers in general. But I do think it was just super exciting. And I like these guys. I like Barry Bonds. I like Roger Clemens. I like Mark McGwire. A lot of those guys, especially Mike Piazza. Mike Piazza was my favorite player in the 90s. It was Nolan Ryan. And then when Nolan Ryan retired, it became Mike Piazza. And I think that a lot of the steroid era guys, potentially even Mark McGwire through the Vintage Committee, will, I don't know, maybe not Mark McGwire, but Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, I do think will get into the Hall of Fame. I definitely think Alex Rodriguez will get into the Hall of Fame, and I think Alex Rodriguez cards are drastically undervalued right now. You can pick up his PSA 8, SP 94 SP rookie cards, which are very condition sensitive, for like $75 right now. You can get a 9 for, I don't know. I don't know what a 9 sells for. But anyways, I think they're drastically undervalued considering a PSA 10 Derek Jeter sells for like ungodly amount of money. I actually want to look that up because it's like $100,000 because they are so rare. The Jeter SP rookie compared to the Alex Rodriguez XP rookie. Alex Rodriguez put up better stats and was considered a better player than almost... I'll put it this way. ESPN, in their all-decade team, they pick a player for each position out of the 10 years of that decade. And so from 2000 to 2010, they picked 10 players for each position, one for each position. And Alex Rodriguez was on there twice in that list as the best shortstop from one year and the best third baseman from another year. And this is not like every position for every year. This is 10 total positions. Out of those 10 positions, he was considered the best in 2 different positions out of that decade. All right, people hate him, yada, 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 whatever. I don't think the hate is necessarily justified, but I do think that stuff fades with time, and I think Alex Rodriguez cards are an amazing investment right now. The YouTuber, buyer, collector, investor. That guy's awesome. That guy, Jesse said, no, I meant the YouTuber, buyer, collector, investor. Collector, is it baseball card collector, investor, dealer? Yeah, I think that's his YouTube. But anyways, that guy is awesome. He has great a ton of knowledge and a ton of value. And I love watching those guys because it reminds me that valuable content is what matters on YouTube. That I do want to make my videos better. I want to make them have better production value. I want to make them more watchable. I want to work on how I present myself because I want to get this information out to as many people as possible. And I want to build a community. So that all that stuff is great, and I want to do all that stuff. But the main thing is that I'm providing valuable content to people, and that's what those guys remind me of. Not that his videos aren't great. He does some great videos. But the main thing is he provides amazingly valuable content to people and shares his knowledge freely. And that's really important for me to remember. And yeah, it's great. For a nerd, baseball or sports card nerd like me, yeah, I love it. So yeah, cool. I'm glad you like him too, Jesse. Do you ever see DJ LeMahieu cards skyrocketing in price? Because of 2 batting titles in different leagues. Yes. I think skyrocketing might be an overstatement. DJ LeMahieu was drastically undervalued when he was with the Rockies. He got with the Yankees and people started taking notice. So in 2018, when I was looking at these, let me click back over here. So in 2018, when I was looking at these 2011 Topps updates, DJ LeMahieu playing for the Rockies was not on the radar. Once he got with the Yankees, he definitely got on the radar, and these cards in a PSA 10 are going for about $200 right now. So his cards at the time, 2 years ago, Altuve and Paul Goldschmidt, and who was the other guy out of that class? There was another guy out of that class. JD Martinez, yeah. Anyways, their cards were all going in that range, $100 to $200 in a PSA 10. DJ LeMahieu was not on the radar. Now his cards are going for $200 because the guy's a freaking beast. And I definitely think that there's still some headroom for him. When you look at his, like you say, his awards, his batting titles, his fielding, his everything, he's just all around, the guy's a beast. And if he continues to perform, then I definitely think there's some headroom in DJ LeMahieu. The ship has kind of sailed in a way on him. You definitely can't pick his cards up for next to nothing like you could a year or two ago. But I definitely think there's upside in his cards if he continues to perform. That's the big thing with these active players. If he doesn't get hurt, if he continues to perform, if he doesn't fail a drug test, if he doesn't get a DUI, if he doesn't... all that stuff comes into play, and he still, even if none of that stuff happens, he still has to perform on the field. The other if is if he gets traded away from New York, which is definitely a possibility. I've heard a lot of people argue that he might get traded this year. I don't know where that stands right now, but yeah, I definitely like DJ LeMahieu. The guy's a beast. Guy's put up great numbers, and I'm definitely not saying that any of that stuff, especially the more like character-based stuff, I don't think that'll happen. But there's always a chance of an injury. There's always a chance of just having a bad season. There's a ton of things that could happen. Getting traded. So yeah, it's a play that I'm willing to make. I'm not going to go out and buy 100 DJ LeMahieu cards, but I'll buy some. Well, yeah. I don't know that I'd actually buy right now. It would be a good investment. Me personally, I don't know that I would because there's a lot of other stuff that I'm looking at right now. But I think that these cards, even though they're going for $200 right now, I think you can probably buy them. Here's a cheat code. Here's a cheat code for everybody. January is by far the best time to buy baseball, and midway through the off season of any sport is normally the best time to buy any sport. That's the low in any sport. So January is the best time to buy baseball. It's a little later than midway in the off season, but that's because people buy leading up to Christmas, and then they've spent their money leading up to Christmas, and they don't really have a lot to spend in January. So supply and demand. Ends up being a lot more people that want to sell in January than people that want to buy. And January is a definitely the best time to buy baseball. Up until this year, and it probably still will be true, and August is the best time to sell baseball. That's the way it's always been. The heat of the season when leading up to the playoffs, best time to sell. Overall, on average, best time to buy is in January. I don't know. I don't have any ifs, ands, or buts about that. It just is the way it is. And so a lot of times I buy a lot of my 1971s in January, even though they don't fluctuate as much. They still do fluctuate. And a Roberto Clemente, PSA 6 in January, you might be able to buy it for 30% less than what you could sell it for in August. I've seen that several years. So yeah. I do think there's some headroom. Gosh, I ramble on. I do definitely think there's some headroom in DJ LeMahieu. I wouldn't necessarily see his card skyrocketing, because how much better can he do than what he's already done? And he's on the radar now. It's not like he's overlooked completely. Definitely not overlooked completely. And I don't think he's really overlooked much right now. I think he has been for most of his career. And I definitely can understand that's a valid question. I definitely can understand why you would ask that question. I don't think his cards will skyrocket, but I do think there's potentially, this card, I think, has a ceiling probably, depending on how he plays this year and depending on how he plays next year. I would say this year this card has a ceiling of about $300 to $350. Right now it's for $200. That's just a guess. And then if he has a great year this year, goes into next year, has a great year, $500. I mean, really, if he keeps adding up awards and keeps having great years, then, the cards are probably going to keep going up. Depends on what the market does, too. If people in the off-season of these sports, basketball and football, they get burnt really bad and they're buying baseball and now they're not buying baseball, then maybe the market takes a downturn. I could definitely see that. It's not going to keep going up forever. Jose Canseco is so hated, Bonnie says. Yes and no. I think Jose Canseco is hated a lot less than he was 15 years ago. I think when you look at Jose Canseco's career numbers, they're not as good as a lot of his contemporary stars. He was a huge star when he started out, but as with a lot of players, as they get a little older, they have some injuries and stuff, they start to go downhill. And when you look at his stats, mainly his wins above replacement, his WAR, his total WAR is not nearly as high as Barry Bonds or some of those other guys. I think Jose Canseco's awesome. He was a huge star when I was a young guy. I thought he was great. Superstars are great for baseball. He stayed somewhat relevant. See if it gives his career WAR on here. So the best way I can explain wins above replacement is if it's WAR, WAR, wins above replacement. Okay, so Jose Canseco's career WAR is 42.5. According to Baseball Card Collector, Investor, Dealer, and I trust his opinion. I don't know this for a fact, but I trust his opinion. You're at a WAR of 60 or 70, you're about a 50-50 shot at making the Hall of Fame. I would say that's, he's at a 42.5. So when you look at his career stats, it's just not there. You know, Canseco had, a lot of his first seasons, basically his first 6 seasons, he had 5 of the 6 with over 30 home runs, 2 with over 40. He led baseball in home runs in 88 and 91. And then we see a precipitous decline. In 92, he was injured, only played in 22 games, 60 games in 93. He has another couple years here in 98, 99 in the steroid era where he led the league in strikeouts, but also had, 46 and 34 home runs respectively in those years. So I love Jose Canseco. I think he was a really exciting player, but his career stats just don't add up. So I don't think he's necessarily hated. I just think he was hated at one point in time, but now I think his career stats just don't add up to him being a super as cared about as he might have been. He had better stats. Joe Burrow, buy or sell. This is what I would tell people. This is what I said in my video the other day. If you believe, so it all depends. If you believe Joe Burrow is going to come back, if you're willing to make a bet on Joe Burrow coming back, with this injury, I would say there's about a 50-50 chance that he doesn't play at all next season. It's a 9 to 12 month rehabilitation for an ACL, MCL. He tore both of them, plus did other damage to his knee. 9 to 12 months. So minimum 9 months, which puts us at about the beginning of next season. So I think there's a very low chance that he starts next season. I think there's a better chance that he comes in midway through the season, but I think there's a very good chance he doesn't play at all next season. So out of sight, out of mind. Midway through the football offseason, in May or June, April, May, and June, I think you're going to see very low prices for Joe Burrow. If he doesn't play next season, then I think you'll see prices go even lower, potentially much, much lower. And I've already seen prices cut in half on Joe Burrow, which I think is reasonable for the type of injury that he's had. If you want to make a bet on Burrow, I would sell right now as soon as possible, and I would plan on buying in May. That's what I would do. If I wanted to make the best decision about Joe Burrow, that is what I would try to do, is sell right now, get out while you can. I think they will definitely be lower later in the year, in the offseason when people aren't paying as much attention to football or football cards. There will be some great buying opportunities if that's a bet you want to make, and it is a bet, it's a gamble. But you can buy them a lot cheaper probably in May than what you can sell them for right now. So that would be my opinion on Joe Burrow. Buying or selling injured player cards. I think both are relevant. Both are very relevant. It's very relevant to look at an injured player and decide how exciting you think that player is, what you think that player's potential is. Get into the news and read about them, find out what's going on with them, and decide what you want to do if you're wanting to make a play on that. And I do consider a lot of these more of a bet, a gamble, a risk. There's a risk and a reward there. Yordan Alvarez had an awesome rookie year. He was injured last year, and his cards got really low. And I've seen a lot of high-profile buyers, guys that I watch that buy a lot of modern stuff. I saw them about a month to 6 weeks ago start buying up Yordan Alvarez and started looking into it. Yeah, he was injured. He's coming back. That's the bet that they're making, is Yordan Alvarez is going to come back and he's going to have a good year and his cards are going to go up. And so there again, if it's baseball, and then in January is a good time to look at some of those players and decide what you think. But I definitely think that's a good play to make, because you can buy low, and if they don't have a great year, then you're not out a whole lot. If they have a great year, then you could potentially make a lot. I think the risk versus reward is pretty good. I think anybody that's overlooked is a better play than people that are in the spotlight. Like, how much better can Fernando Tatis do than he already has? I don't know. I would say not much. Not that there's not still headroom in his cards. Again, if you buy in January and you sell in August, and he has a good season, then you're probably going to make money. But, he's a superstar. He's one of the most highly touted stars in baseball right now, and his cards sell for a premium. I don't think there's near as much opportunity in a guy like Fernando Tatis as there is in a guy like Yordan Alvarez. There might be less risk in Fernando Tatis, but considering how high his cards sell, I don't know that that's necessarily true either. Jesse Nunez, I don't want people to get burned, but this hype train needs to chill and start coming down. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I don't want people to get burned. I don't want them to lose money. It's not all greed. It's a lot of people that have really good intentions that get into the hobby. Maybe they've been gone for a while and have kind of fallen out of touch with what's going on, or maybe they're just new. Maybe they're young people with, that have just gotten in. But it's not just people out there chasing money that are going to get burned. It's a lot of people that make buys on the players that they believe in, maybe don't completely understand the risks associated in the market. And with hype, hype is very intoxicating, and it is a lot of fun. So I'm kind of torn because right now is super exciting. It's a super exciting time to be in sports cards, but at the same time, this market will come down at some point in time. There will be people that lose money, and there will be people that lose a lot of money. Gosh, I saw, oh man. I've seen so many videos hyping players and so-called investments and just guaranteeing, this card is going to be worth some ungodly amount of money. Like, trust me, I know. Like, no, you don't. Nobody does. I'm not going to say that I do. I will never say that I know what's going to happen with a sports card. I will say, with the production numbers, the amount of cards that are being produced and are being graded in a PSA 10 over the last 2 years, that all market metrics that are used to judge what happens in the sports card market would identify that scarcity matters, and that the population of PSA 10s from the last 2 years are drastically overvalued for how many of them there are. That's the only way I can put it. It's tough for me to say that the hype train needs to chill. I hate that, but it is so much fun. It's definitely less risky for people. If there's not as much hype and cards are kind of valued more based on actual, numbers. But it is super exciting. So I understand where you're coming from, Jesse, and I do agree with you. So these are the Ichiro rookie cards. I don't want to get too far off on a tangent with the hype train, because I could sit here and say some things that I really don't want to say, and maybe I'd regret because I don't want to alienate people. And it's not because I want to make everybody happy. It's just I don't want to make people feel bad. I don't want to alienate people. I don't want to call people out on their BS, even if I think it's BS, because I don't think that it is the right thing to do. I don't think it's good character in any situation to talk bad about people. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. So, for whatever that's worth. 2001 Ichiro Suzuki rookie card. This is the base Topps rookie card. This one I bought for about $50 off eBay. Got really lucky. It's in really good condition. I would expect this to come back in at least a 9, and I do think it has potential for a 10. It is a little off center. It is not perfect around the edges and the corners. It is very close. It is not completely perfect. But these are very condition sensitive cards. And like I said, a lot of times PSA will take that into consideration. This card, because of the condition sensitivity of these cards in a PSA 10, sells for about $1,500 right now. So, you know, you can pick these up for $30 to $50 if you really pay attention to what, you know, the condition, and you can get some good ones. There's a lot of potential here. 9 and a 9, these sell for $150 to $200, so I would expect to make money off of this card. It could come back in 8, sells for $60 in an 8. If it comes back in 8, maybe I lose $10, maybe 20, you know. But Ichiro is going to get basically almost a shoe-in as a first-year Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer, and I think 2023 is when he's eligible. So picking this card up for $50, you know, if it was still a $60 card, like 8, when I would get it back and look at selling it, then yeah, maybe I'd lose $10 or $20. I don't expect this in a PSA 8 to still be a $60 card 3 years from now. I would think of it to be in a PSA 8 more of a $100 to $120 card, maybe a little bit more. There are other versions of this. There was a set that you had to order called Home Team Advantage that had another gold label up here. There are very few Home Team Advantage PSA 8s, and I have been buying those sets, trying to find one. These cards brick really bad, so when left in those factory sealed sets, they will clump together, brick up, stick together, and you have to be really careful peeling them apart. There is a technique for that, and I plan on making a video going through how to unbrick cards if I get some in that are bricked. I've got like 3 or 4 more of these that do have some surface damage from being stuck together with other cards. They also made a limited edition set of 2001 Topps that was on a thicker 20-point cardstock, and it was like a Topps Tiffany. It was like a glossy premium version of this card. Those are even more rare. Those were only sent to, I think, hobby dealers, and from what I understand, there's 3,500 or 5,000 sets produced, and in a PSA 10, I don't think there's more than like 20, if that, PSA 10s. So that's my Ichiro Suzuki. That's my gold for today as far as Ichiro Suzuki. Yeah, these LeMahieu's I want to send in for the beginning of the season, try to get them back. This is Bill Belichick's rookie card, 1991 Series 1, I think. NFL Pro Set, Series 1. Bill Belichick rookie card. NFL Pro Set is pretty much considered, especially in the 90s. The 89 is a pretty good year because it was Barry Sanders rookie and several others. 91, there are very few valuable cards. This one is one. It's one. There's one card in this set that is very valuable. There's also an Emmitt Smith Rookie of the Year card that sells for about $100 in a PSA 10. This card in a PSA 10 sells for about $500. You can buy these boxes for about $20 shipped. I mean, $15, $20. So that's what I did. I bought 3 or 4 full boxes of these, and I pulled one card that is in good condition. These Bill Belichick rookie cards were the top card in the pack of every pack that I've opened, and I've found 6 or 8 of these. There's about 2 to a box. They're the top card in the pack, so they rub against the top of the pack, and they are very, very hard to find in good condition. I bought the best condition boxes I could find on eBay, and I got lucky. I pulled this one. Now, will this come back a 10? there's a shot. This is what I would be worried about right here. There is still a very good shot this comes back at 10. These are very condition sensitive cards. So in the front is pretty much perfect on this card. So centering, everything. So, that's a play. That's a weird creative play that could potentially make a lot of money. But like I said, I probably bought, I bought four or five boxes of this stuff. Now I set all of the rookies, all the potentially valuable cards aside, and hopefully those, they're going to go up in value over time to a certain extent, but I probably spent $80 on boxes of 1991 NFL Pro Set. I'll spend $20, $30, $40 to get this graded and pay shipping charges and everything else. If it comes back a 9, I'll basically make my money back. The 9s sell for $100 to $120. It might go up a little bit. If it comes back a 10, then I've made 5 times my investment, basically. It sells for about $500 in a 10. 86 Topps Traded Barry Bonds is the other card that I've got set aside to send in with this third-party submission. I'm not going to send very many cards in. Probably these and maybe a couple more. I'm still waiting to get some stuff in and make some videos and see what I come up with that I might send in. These are at the $500 level. They'll be on a 20-day submission. It costs $28 plus return shipping. You have to ship them there and return shipping, and you want to put insurance on everything so you protect your investment. But these are probably the cards that I'm going to send in for that. Those that are closer to that $500 range that I want to get back fairly soon. 1986 Topps Traded Barry Bonds. You can pick up Topps traded sets for about $30, $35 right now. But they are very condition sensitive. They're very hard to find in good condition. The Barry Bonds rookie here in a PSA 10 sells for about $300. The the Bo Jackson, I am starting to get tired here. But anyways, the Bo Jackson sells for about $200. The Will Clark in a PSA 10, Will Clark rookie is selling for $60 to $80. And there's another one in there that's pretty good. But anyways, these sets sell for about $35. I would look at getting some, paying a little more to get some out of a sealed case. Make sure that you read the description and it says that they haven't been opened. You can't guarantee that, but if you don't know, eBay does have a return policy. Like, even if a seller states that they don't accept returns, that really doesn't mean anything. If you unless you just say, I'm not happy with it, if you get something and it is not as advertised, you can return it and they will have to pay for your return shipping. And eBay will make that right. A lot of sellers hate it, but I think it's important. And so if you do buy one of these sets and you get it in and it's obviously been opened and looked through, or cards are missing or anything like that, you can return them. But anyways, I was really happy to find this. I've actually got the Jose Canseco from this set as well. That's also potentially a PSA 10 candidate. That's the other one, his rookie card from this set. So I got really lucky. And it's just a set that I had from collection that I went through and got really lucky. So anyways, got off on a super tangent there. Going through my next submission. But anyways, I do want to get these sorted through, though. This might be kind of a long stream, but feel free to come and leave at your leisure, as you like, but I've had these sitting around, excuse me, sitting here waiting to go through them, waiting to do a stream or make a video on grading for probably at least a good month. I've just had these sitting on my desk, planning on doing a video. And so I want to get these off my desk, get them going through. This has got a little bit of corner issue. I don't know if you can see right. Let's find a good angle. Right there, see that little tinted corner? I wouldn't be incredibly concerned about that, but I might not send this in. It's got that little corner ding, little tiny corner ding, and the centering's pretty good on it. I don't know. I might send that in. I'm gonna set it to the side. I'm gonna consider it maybe, and maybe not send it in with first round, but definitely set it aside and not resell it, because there's a really good chance that would come back in, that either they would overlook that or they would look at that and say, you know, it's within the bounds of PSA 10. So, haha. You do get on long tangents. Yes, I do. I am a windy guy. I get to talking and I get on some tangents. I it's just natural for me, that I think about a lot of this stuff, and this, I think this YouTube channel is really therapeutic because it helps me get stuff out. But I'm pretty quiet and reserved in my daily life. Able to get on here and kind of share what I'm thinking about, go on this kind of long form talking head type videos, question and answer. And yeah, I do get on some long tangents. That's no lie, Jesse. No cap there. So I am going to set that one aside. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and hopefully it's not too tangential to where it, you know, people get lost or anything like that. And you know, hopefully it's valuable and entertaining. That's all I can hope for. But yeah, I enjoy it. So got these Derek Jeters. You know, there's like 30 different Derek Jeter rookies from the 90s. And they're from 4 different years. So this is the 96. Is this 96 or 97? I think it's 96. 96 Topps Star Rookie Jeter. See if I can get this to focus a little bit better. See if it'll focus. Is it not going to? Anyways, can't tell. It's got a little bit of a weak corner. These are pretty good though. I bought these on eBay and a lot, and the corners are not perfect. Centering's pretty good. I honestly don't know what these go for in a PSA 10. I would say close to $100, most of this stuff. Early 90s, this is the Future Star 1996 Topps Jeter. Gosh, that is just not focusing well. Anyways, yeah, I think in a PSA 10 these go for about $100. I'm gonna say that's a 9. I'm gonna say that's a 9. And with these, this is how these were sent to me. I'm gonna replace the sleeve, throw this sleeve away, and I'm just gonna put that in a top loader as a 9 and set it aside. I doubt I'll resell it. I'll probably hold it. I might resell it at some point, but yeah, set that aside. And so I personally prefer to buy stuff at card shows or card stores. I'm looking for stuff to send into grading. That way I can look at it, hold it in my hands, and decide what I think the value of it is, what I think it'll grade. I do buy quite a bit of stuff off of eBay, but there again, like that too, I try to look for stuff. I try to pay really close attention to the condition. So these were bought in a lot. A guy had, selling all three of these for next to nothing. Like I don't know. I paid like not much, like $3 a piece for these. I like the way they looked, and so they come in. That one's a $9. I could probably sell it for, I don't know, $5 to $8 something, and just put a better, picture on eBay where people can look at it and decide, have a little bit more certainty as to what the grade of that card is, what the condition of that card is, and they're willing to pay more. There's another one, it's really good condition, not perfect. Another one that's it's a 10 or a 9. Another one that's a 9. And let's see here. And so go ahead and sleeve that up. Set that aside. I probably will at some point do 2 different videos on eBay. I'll probably do a buying on eBay video, and I will do a selling on eBay video. There is a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to selling, well, both buying and selling on eBay, that people don't take into consideration. So one thing, I bought these cards, like I said, in a lot. I bought 3 of these in a lot. But that was not the only cards I bought from this seller. So I found these or some similar, or some from this lot I found on eBay, and then I went into the guy's store, the eBay store, because they'll combine shipping, and a lot of times if they offer best offers, you can lump stuff together, as Mike would say on American Pickers. You can bundle things, other stuff from their store, send them a message or whatever, say I'd like to make this offer on these cards, and get a lot better deal. So I bought these, a bunch of Shaq rookies, some Kevin Garnett, a lot of stuff that's out of here, out of these basketball, all from the same guy. And the total offer that I was able to get them for, the total price I was able to get them for, was probably 30% less than had I bought them individually. I think I paid $100 for everything in this lot, including this 92 Shaq rookie, which had pretty good centering, but had some bad corners. I labeled that an 8. I think that would probably come back an 8. But yeah, trying to see if there we go. That's better. Figuring out the focus on this. But yeah, so individually I would have spent, probably with shipping and everything, probably $150 on this lot. And by talking to the guy and clumping some different listings together, I was able to save 30%. And so that's just a little trick there. Jesse, I'm new, so I'm skeptical of LCS, local card shop, since you'd think that most people who pull a good card with high value potential would submit it instead of selling raw. Am I just overthinking it? No, I don't think you're overthinking it. I think most of your card shops, well, there's two factors to this. So, one, yes, most of your card shops will submit most of the cards that they think will come back in a good value or will come back a PSA 10. Now, when it comes to like patch autos and stuff like that, they are notorious for not coming back in great grades. You know, they might come back 9s or 8.5s or 8s because they're very condition sensitive. So a lot of guys will sell those, and mags or, you know, whatever will sell those ungraded, and you know the condition might be perfect on them. But a lot of your new guys, your top stars, these card shops know that if I send this out to get graded and it takes 3 months or 6 months to get it back, then, you know, I'm taking the chance of this player getting injured or getting, you know, or his stats dropping or the market just dropping. So they'll try to sell those cards. They won't get them graded, and they'll just sell them raw. The main thing, and I agree with you on that fact. When I'm looking at, you know, my card shops or card shows, I'm looking more in that, you know, $5 to $50 range of raw cards. So this Ray Allen rookie, you can see the surface is a little off on it. This is the 96, same year as the Kobe. So yeah, I'm looking at this range, and I have a lot of good luck in that range, in that $5 to $50 range on raw cards at card shows or card shops. I say I have a lot of luck, but I might look through 10 cards to find one, you know. So, or I might look through 20, 30, whatever. You know, I look at a lot of cards, and, you know, I might find one here and there that's a PSA 10 candidate, but that's what I enjoy doing. This one's a 9. This one's probably going to come back a 9. So I'm going to sleeve that up and set it aside. But yeah, I definitely think that most of your card shop owners, they know enough. Oh, Bonnie, hey, I guess she left. I'll see you, Bonnie. Yeah, most of those guys are going to send. They're going to send a lot of stuff off to get graded if they think it will come back a 10. I have been buying a lot of Ray Allen and Allen Iverson lately. I've probably bought altogether like 30 of these. 96, 97, and 98 Topps basketball. I think in unopened form, in the packs and boxes, is undervalued. And that might sound crazy considering a box of 96 Topps Basketball Series 2 sells for $2,500. But in 96, 97, and 98, the top set for the Topps basketball set was 220 cards. Exactly. So Series 2 is 110 or 111 cards. And a hobby box, 36 packs, 11 cards per pack, is like 400 cards. So you figure you've got Allen Iverson, Ray Allen, Steve Nash, and Kobe Bryant in that 96 Topps set. You're going to average at least 3, if not 4, of each of these players in that set. So you're going to average 3 Kobe rookies out of that box. And the Kobe rookie in a PSA 10, I think, sells for $2,500, you know? So yes, there's a risk there, but there's also a great upside. I mean, it might be $1,500 your rookie sells for. I don't know. I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to those. I've mainly been paying more attention to Allen Iverson and Ray Allen because I just think they're drastically undervalued, especially Ray Allen for as amazing of a shooter as he was and as exciting of a player. And the fact that he was he was culturally significant. I mean, he got game. Allen Iverson, one of my favorite players. I love Georgetown. When I was young, it's my favorite team. And Allen Iverson, and you talk about an exciting guy. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So, anyways, this card, pretty sure this card's got a good shot. This card's got a good shot at a 10. I think this is the one that I got from a guy right after he had opened up a box at a card show. And I kind of gave him some grief about how lucky he got for the price that he paid for that box. And it was low. Oh, maybe it's not this one. This one's got some surface issues on the back of the card. It was stuck together a little bit. If you can see right there, it's got some definite surface issues. So this one's not a 10. Maybe it wasn't this card. Now I'm hoping it wasn't. I'm hoping it was a different one that I got from that guy, because I looked at those cards, which I got the Allen Iverson and the Ray Allen out of that box that he had for $15 total. Allen Iverson and Gem Mint 10 sells for $300, and the Ray Allen sells for, I don't know, 100, 120, something like that. Way too low. For Hall of Famers that were just super exciting players. That one's a 9. I'm still going to set it aside, put it in a card saver, and plan on having that graded at some point, but I probably won't send it off with this order. If I get an Iverson that I feel pretty confident about will come back in a 10. Oh, Zonamez. Hi, Zonamez. What do you think about Devin Booker? I haven't looked really in depth on Devin Booker. I've been planning on it, but I haven't got too into him yet. I think in today's basketball market, leading up into this season, I think that anybody who's not drawing as much attention in the card hobby is a better investment than anybody that is. So I think that as far as a lot of those guys, I think a lot of those guys like Devin Booker being overlooked. Devin Booker, I think he's got a better team this year than he had last year. So I like, again, I've been planning on it. I haven't got into Devin Booker very much yet. But I would say there's more potential for Devin Booker to go up than there is for Zion. Even if Zion has an amazing year, it would take a lot for a card that's already, $1,000 and there's 20,000 PSA 10s of them. I think 15 right now. Prisms, 15,000. It would take a lot for that card to double in value. And I haven't got very far into them, but I'm guessing it would take a lot less for Devin Booker's rookie card to go up that much. This one's got really good surface condition on the back. It's got really good centering on the back. It has okay centering on the front. So I wonder, why does this always look different in the video than when you're looking at it in real life? That's really weird to me. Like when I'm looking at this card with my own two eyes, it is off center left to right. But when I look at it in here, it's not. It looks damn near perfectly centered. That is so weird. It's not perfectly centered. Maybe it's better than I think. Maybe it's an optical illusion. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. That card's got a shot at a 10. I would say that card's got as good almost as good a shot at as a 10 as it does at a 9. I've seen there's some defects in this card. It's got kind of a soft corner up here. I don't know how much they would take off for that. I say kind of a soft corner. It's not completely perfect corner. That probably would come back a 9, but in a 9, I think those still go pretty good in a 9. $75, something like that. Get another thing in. Cardboard gold card savers. Jesse Nunez. Yeah, I don't think people think about that with some of the expensive cards like Zion. Prices won't grow as easy for him. Definitely. How much did that Donruss 2017 Donruss NBA pack cost you? $8. They were $8 a pack. There was 2 packs left, and the guy gave me the box because the box was empty. So, yeah, this guy is kind of a trend of guys trying to provide more pack offerings. So $8 a pack is basically pretty much what they sell for on eBay. But yeah, I thought that was a really fun. Yeah, it was definitely worth $8 for a couple packs. $8 a pack for a couple packs to have something fun to open. Clean up a little bit here. Have something fun to open, and it's got pretty good potential. There's some big rookies in that 2017 class. But yeah, back to you, Jesse. Yeah, take a card like, okay, you take Zion, and his base prism is whatever it is, $800, $900, $1,000 right now. I don't even know because I don't really look at them. It's nothing I would ever consider. To be perfectly honest, if you asked, I've been thinking about this a lot lately. If I was buying Luca 2018 Luca base prisms, but under the condition that I had to hold them for 5 years, how much would I pay for them? It is extremely low, the amount I would be willing to pay for a Luca base prism if I had to hold it for 5 years. I mean, extremely low. For a card that's going for $1,800 right now, I don't honestly know. I wouldn't even want to buy them because I think all of the risk factors associated with a card that is that overly produced, is that highly produced, let's not say overly, let's say it's that highly produced, and all the risk factors that just go into active players and young active players in general, I don't even know. I wouldn't even want to buy them, but if I was going to buy them, it would be like $50 to $100 is what if I had to hold that card for 5 years, I don't think I'd pay more than $50 or $100 for it. Because honestly, if you take a star like that in a regular market that had that many PSA 10s, that's about what they would be worth. Look at baseball, that's about what they would be worth. And that sounds crazy to a lot of people. That's blasphemy to a lot of people. But it's just for a fun thought experiment. That is something I've been thinking of lately, is how much would I be willing to pay for those cards if I had to hold them for 5 years, and it would be very little. It would be very little, and I'm not interested in buying them in general. There's just so many of them, and the market swings so much, and you never know, when that market over the course of 2 weeks swings from $1,700-$1,800 down to $1,300. You don't know if that's going to come back. There's no guarantee. Those cards are so highly valued right now that I would say if that happened, there's just as much chance that they continue to go down as there would be for them to go up. That's just my opinion, and I love the guys as far as players. I think they're super exciting to watch and awesome players. And as far as a basketball fan of watching basketball, they're awesome. But as far as a guy out here who's spending hard-earned money on cards, they don't appeal to me hardly at all. That's just me. Everyone's zone a mess. Everyone's too busy on Zion. I'm trying to find players slept on that will pop off and prices will go up on them. Agreed. Yeah, I agree. I would, and I think that's one of the opportunities that's created in this market where, a couple people are demanding a huge portion of the money that's out there and everybody else is getting slept on. That's why I picked Brandon Ingram. Because, if Brandon Ingram if his stats improve as much this year as they did last year, he'll be averaging 30 points a game, which puts him in that superstar category. I don't think he's as exciting to watch as some of those guys, but stats matter, and his cards are not super undervalued, being that they go for about $300 in a PSA 10, but they're not overvalued. 2016 Prism is, they're drastically less Brandon Ingram PSA 10s. 20 times less. More than 20 times less. I think it's like 25 times less than there is of Luca or Zion. So with that in consideration, I think there's a lot lower risk. You have about half as much. They're showing about half as much production with the in 2017 is what it looks like there was in 2018. But once you get back to 2016, there's it's like 10% as much as what there was in 2018 and 2019. So yeah, that's definitely that is definitely where I would focus. I would try to focus in that 2016 or before guys, or 2017. But there's a lot of opportunity in the 2018, 2019 years too. But you just gotta, you gotta find guys that that are being overlooked. These are NBA 50 parallels from 1996 Topps Basketball. These were inserted one in every 3 packs, but there's a parallel for every card in the set. So being that there's 110 cards in the set, and they're 1 in 3 packs, and there's 11 cards in a pack, so 1 out of every 33 cards is one of these NBA 50 parallels. These are 33 times less. There are 33 times less of these than the base cards, and they're not selling for that much more right now. And they're silver foil; they're more attractive. This has probably got a good shot at a 9. These Ray Allens, even the NBA 50s in a 9, don't go for a whole lot, but I think there's a ton of potentials. Now the Kobe PSA The Kobe NBA 50, this gold, silver foil Kobe rookie NBA 50, they are not slept on. Those are $10,000. Those cost $10,000 is what they have been selling for. But the Allen Iversons and the Ray Allens, what you can pick them up for raw, and I think as far as, for me, the long-term potential of Ray Allen is just ridiculous. I think I can get these for less than $20, you know. And in a PSA 10, I think these are around 300. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, these are, not only was there less production numbers overall in those years, but these are very condition sensitive. They're 33 times more rare than the base cards, and they're not going for that much more money. Jesse, how overvalued are Luca cards? There's no way a base card with a high population should be going for $800, right? I get that buyers create the market, but that just seems absurd. I completely agree. Everything I know about the sports card market says that Luca's base prisms, and I don't mean to hate on Luca all the time. Like I said, I love watching the guy. I think he's an amazing player. I think the hype around him as a player is justified. But as far as when it comes down to the numbers for the market, those cards are extremely overvalued. Like, you take, there's 6 times more Luca base prisms than there are LeBron tops. There's 3 times more Luca base prisms than LeBron tops and tops chrome combined. There's actually less LeBron PSA 10 base tops than there are tops chrome. There's like 2,100 or 1,800 base tops and like 2,500 base chrome. And population numbers, I want to say they're not everything, but in the long term, I really feel like they kind of are. When you go back more than 30 years, population is absolutely everything. It really is. That's those 1984 Flir update Roger Clemens. The reason they're worth $1,500 in a PSA 10 is because there's not very many of them. And that's everything vintage, is all based on scarcity, is all based on population. And I've had several people tell me that population doesn't matter. It's all about popularity. This isn't the 90s boomer and all this other garbage. But it does. It flat out does. Now, if you're making plays, trying to make money quickly in different price fluctuations, like, for example, buying Luca base prisms a month ago for whatever they were going for, $1,300, I think was a good buy, considering they're not playing right now. That was the midpoint in the offseason. Leading up to the season, those cards are almost guaranteed to go up. Leading up to the season, and there's virtually no chance that player, I say virtually no chance that player gets injured in between now and the beginning of the season. I say that even as, Klay Thompson just tore his Achilles tendon, 2 weeks ago or whatever, so there is a chance. But, there's definitely a lot of short-term plays there in this market, but there's also a lot of risk involved with that too. You don't know what the market's going to do. You can have a pretty good idea, based on those underlying things. And I know a lot of guys that are, very smart and somewhat conservative guys, that went out and spent a lot of money on basketball a month ago and are selling it right now and making, 30-40% profit on all that. But I say spent a lot of money, they might have $500,000 in cards and they're spending $20,000 on basketball a month ago, so what's a lot of money? Jesse, yeah, using common sense, the less of something there is, the higher the demand equals higher prices. So Luca selling how he is makes no sense. From a numbers standpoint, it makes no sense. It's definitely, it makes sense from a cultural standpoint. Right now, basketball is super hot. Basketball cards are super hot. People want them. People are willing to pay for them. They're willing to pay a lot for them. They're super excited. They want to be involved in the hobby, yada, 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 whatever. But I personally, and it's just a pet peeve, I personally have a problem with people saying that they're buying Luca-based prisms as an investment. In my mind, and again, it's it's neither here nor there. In my mind, an investment is something that you're planning on holding on to that's going to go up in value. You could say whatever. It's a short-term investment, whatever. But people just using that term broadly as I'm buying Luca-based prisms as an investment. That I just kind of twitch a little bit whenever I hear that, because it's like, either you don't understand what's going on in the market and you're planning on holding these and taking the risk of them, the very real risk of them going down in value or tanking if something bad happens to Luca. Either you don't understand the market, or you do, and that's just the blanket term is investment. And I think that's confusing to people. That's the problem I have with it, is it's in excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Should have covered the mic. I'm still learning that. I think it's confusing to people, and that's the problem I have with it. When you say investment, traditionally that word means, something you're going to hold on to for a while. So I think a lot of these guys are saying investment when they mean I'm going to turn around 2 weeks from now and sell this for 30% profit. But, saying that's confusing to people. And I think there's a lot of people that put themselves in a position where people are taking advice from them. And when they say that, I think that's irresponsible. That's just my opinion. Yeah, some people think Luca's the next LeBron, which is a big risk. Yes, I completely agree. Like, he's got to perform at the level he's performing at now, or better, for the next 14 years to be considered in that category of LeBron. Not only does he have to perform at that level or better, but he has to win championships. He has to, avoid injury. He has to, he could be the best player in the league for the next 14 years. And if he doesn't win a championship or an MVP, then he's not at LeBron level. There won't be an argument about him being better than LeBron. You got guys, James Harden, as much, in my opinion, even as fun as Luca is to watch, I think James Harden is a lot more exciting, a lot more fun to watch. If you just watch a highlight reel of James Harden, watch a highlight reel of Luca. Yes, Luca is very exciting to watch. But over the course of a season, James Harden is making plays and has that potential of, a 50-point game. Every game has that potential, and just making ridiculous plays that are just super exciting to watch. But James Harden cards, are not nearly as valuable as Luca-based prisms based on population, But he's been a lot longer, and that stuff fades. You can be that good. And once you're 4 or 5 years down the road, people aren't as willing to buy your stuff. You're not as big a deal. You're yesterday's news, even if you're an amazing player. And LeBron went through that, LeBron definitely went through that. Even though the market was lower then, it was only in the last few years that he's been looked at as, that there's been that argument between him and Jordan, so yeah, I think there's a lot of risks there. I've been trying to tone down I don't mean to focus on Luca all the time. Again, super fun to watch, awesome guy, awesome player. But that's just like that's the card. That's the card that is. I don't want to turn a lot of people off, but that's the example. That is the state. That is the definition of what the hobby is going through right now. Jesse, as I got into watching basketball, I learned about Harden's point stats, which were insane. Yes, they are. And, Harden and Luca are very similar in that they take a lot of shots. So they have high points, but they take a lot of shots. Their percentages are not necessarily as good as some other players. They take a lot of low percentage shots necessarily. So a lot of times when, the clock's running down, and somebody needs to take a shot, they're the ones that need to take a shot. So those are low percentage shots, and they're going to miss more of them than somebody that's out on the wing and has a chance to catch and shoot without being double teamed. So those guys, that average 40% from the 3-point line, they're not taking near as many under pressure shots, near as many high percentage shots or low percentage shots. There's a lot of things, Luca's super exciting, and fun fact, he went to my high school. He's our famous alumni. James Harden went to your high school? Huh. That's pretty famous alumni. I really like James Harden. I always have. I always just thought he was very interesting. Kind of an understated play style, but also like super fun to watch. Man, when he catches that ball, and he's in the open and kind of shows off a little bit before draining a three. Man, that is something to see. It's just super funny. Another one of those NBA 50s. Huh. Little surface scratching on the very top there. I like this. I like the chances of this card. It's got some surface issues. There's no doubt about that. But the centering's great on it. Another thing, when it comes down to it, grading is supposed to be mainly based off eye appeal. So, and you'll see that in that a lot of Gem Mint 10 cards will go for more money if they actually, even though they're both Gem Mint 10s, a card that looks better will go for more money. Even though both a Gem Mint 10. Eye appeal is what matters. So this card has great eye appeal. Pretty good centering. It's a little off center top to bottom. That card probably gets a 9. But super clean. And for these NBA 50 cards, oh my gosh. I mean, oh my Lanta. I doubt I'll send them in to get graded right away, but I think there's, the chance. Being the scarcity of these and how good a player Ray Allen was, I could easily see a PSA 9, one of these NBA 50s, selling for $150, $200 at some point in the near future. Keep in mind, this year is the 75th anniversary of the NBA, and at the 50 year, and I'm sure they'll probably do it this year too, they come out with their they came out with their 50 best players in the NBA, and this year they'll probably do 75, and Ray Allen's normally top 30, top 35, best players ever to play in the NBA. So that can have an effect on card price. There's a lot of things that can have an effect. And just get some cards noticed that have been overlooked. There's what they call a macro play. So Gary Vee will talk about this sometimes. I really like Gary Vee. I think he's an honest guy for the most part. I don't, whether he's good for the hobby or not, it's not my place to say. But I like the guy. He's very entertaining. I think he's very knowledgeable. He's got some great advice. Does a lot of good things. And I think for the most part, he's genuine. He tries to be honest, and that's worth a lot to me. So anyways, Gary Vee will talk about his macro plays. So originally his macro play was sports cards, just in general. Like, he saw his kids starting to get into sports cards, and says macro plays that sports cards are going to come back in a big way. And that's what a macro play is. It's a big picture type play. So my macro play on 90s basketball is, and these guys like Kevin Garnett and Shaquille, Ray Allen, Allen Iverson, Dirk Nowitzki, Paul Pierce, Vince Carter, all these guys that premiered in the 90s that were super exciting to watch, super fun, is that, we've got a lot of young guys, a lot of young people that have entered the hobby in the last year or two, and their dads are paying more attention. I was in a card shop not long ago, about 6 weeks ago, and a guy came in with his kid, they're Dodgers fans, and the kid's looking for Corey Seager and Cody Bellinger, and just buying some little $5, $10 cards. And the dad is, maybe he collected cards as a kid, maybe he didn't, or whatever, but the owner's talking to him, and he's telling him he was asking about National Treasures, which $500-$600 box, which is definitely not nothing for a lot of people. And the owner's telling him about it, and he's being honest. He's like, yeah, it's a gamble. There's some amazing stuff in there. You could get a Babe Ruth signature out of there, or you could get a bunch of role players that, really won't even come close to, paying for what you pay for this box. And so he's like, all right, it's, but it's really cool. National Treasures is really cool. And they're getting ready to leave. The kid's got his $30 worth of cards or whatever. And right before they check out, the guy's like, let me get that box, and that $500 box of National Treasures. And that's my thing, is that, a lot of these young people have got in. Now their dads are paying attention. They're saying, the kids are telling them, Luca base prisms are $1,800. And their dads are like, what in the world's going on here? And then they hear it in social media. They hear it from influencers and different people, older people. And, now they're paying attention. Well, these guys in the 90s, when they're growing up, when they're in high school or they're in elementary school or, in college or whatever, these were the guys to watch. These Kevin Garnett and Tracy McGrady and Allen Iverson, Ray Allen, Shaquille, and that 90s generation, Kobe, and that 90s generation of guys, those are the ones to watch. Those are the exciting guys. Those are the playmakers, the guys that changed the game in the 90s. Wow, this is in good condition. So that's my macro play, my big picture play, is that those guys are getting more and more into the market. And in general, those guys of that age are going to be more conservative, and they're going to be, well, not only they're going to be looking for guys that they found exciting when they were younger, but also, they're looking for guys that are maybe not as much of a risk. So yeah, I think even we've seen most of the market increase in modern cards over the last year, and really high profile, high dollar cards like the LeBron and the Jordans. I think that this 90s stuff, Kevin Garnett, Allen Iverson, Ray Allen, all of them, has a lot of potential in this next year or two. So that's kind of the play that I'm making. That's I would say that's the main place I'm looking right now for really good buys, because they just are so cheap. This Upper Deck SP Kevin Garnett, I think this is his rookie. Yeah, that's an excellent condition card, and I'm guessing a very low pop card in high condition, just because of, it's a metal card, foil card. Wow, that's a good looking card. I might send that in to get graded, and I don't even care what I don't even care what it sells for. That's just a super cool card. Another SP, Kevin Garnett. Jesse, I'm new and was already looking at some side hustles, but was really pushed to get into it when I saw so many influencers talking about it. I see how sometimes that revival of the hobby can have cons. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It definitely can. I think most of the people like Gary Vee and, well, let's just say Gary Vee. Like they're trying to bring people's attention. Like he's trying to bring people's attention to it, but he's definitely not out there saying, go spend 10 grand on. Well, he actually was on Giannis and LeBron and some of those guys, but that was back when it was almost guaranteed to go up. Another beautiful foil rookie. But anyways, that's not his rookie. These are second-year cards, I think. I think his rookie was 95. But anyways, yeah. A lot of people, well, they don't take it at face value necessarily and just say, oh, well, Gary Vee said something or Logan Paul said something, and now, I'm going to go spend a bunch of money. But it's enticing to them, so they start looking into it, and then when they do spend money, maybe they're not as, they're definitely not as educated as they will be, the next time they're going to buy cards, or the next time after that, or the next time after that. And my main thing is just, I hope people, especially when they're early on, when they don't know as much, make good investments so that they don't get burnt and get mad, get big mad. I'll look this up. SP Kevin. 69. Yeah, so this card right here in a PSA 10, 95. Yeah, see, this is listed as this is a 95. Okay, 95, 96. That's why it says 96. It came out after the beginning of the year. Okay. Yeah, so this card, sold for $1. I don't know. I'm sure the condition of that one wasn't very good. But in a PSA 10 here, sold for $80. Let's just do SP Kevin Garnett. PSA 10. So yeah, 122, 127. This card sells really well. So even in a PSA 9, I'm probably getting my money back if I grade this card. Huh. Picked that card up for like probably $2, honestly. Crazy. PSA 9 selling for 25. So yeah, I think this card, it's got kind of a soft corner. It probably would come back a 9. I mean, just kind of a soft corner. Like not a dinged corner, but like just a, see if I can get a good angle on that. Yeah, it just kind of dips down there at the end. Right. There. But yeah, even in a 9, that card comes back pretty valuable. Huh. I will probably send that in. Those are really good looking cards. In my opinion, just they're going to be very condition sensitive. The fact that card has survived the last 25 years in that good a condition is kind of awesome. Which it probably didn't survive the last 25 years. This card was probably pulled out of a pack of unopened product within the last 5 years, I would say. Not, but it's in really good condition nonetheless. So that just goes to show you, you know, a lot of these, like I say, I probably picked that card up in that lot when it was all said and done. That it probably cost me $2 or $3, and it just so happened it came back in really good condition. So, you know, I get it graded. You know, I think it's got a chance at a 10. I really think it would come back a 9. But even if it came back a 9, I'm all right with that because, you know, it's right now they're selling to where I'd make my money back in a 9. And, you know, that's not to take into consideration what the value might go up over the next, you know, year. You know, that card in a 9 might, especially in the how sensitive it is, that card in a 9 might be worth, you know, might be worth $50 a year from now. So you just got to take that all into consideration. Nice 92 Shaq rookie here. Golly. I thought when I looked at this guy's lots that these looked like they were just really good condition cards, but these are really good condition cards. He must have just been opening this stuff lately. Man, now that 92 Topps rookie Shaq I got, I mean, it wasn't the best. It was a PSA 8, if that. You know, it might have come back a 7 if I'd sent it off. But these other cards I got from him, man, they're sharp. So, and you know, like you're buying those $2, $3, $4, $5 cards, and you get them back. You know, you send 20 of them out, and you know, half of them come back 9s and half of them come back 10s. You know, you spend $300 to get them graded, and you spend, you know, $50-$60 on the cards themselves, $100. You know, and if 10 of them come back 10s and they're $100 a piece, I mean, do the math. I mean, that's $1,000 right there. You double your money, you know, on these little low risk investments, and you know, if they come back 9s, you know, if you got a good eye, you've done this, you know, you've done your kind of been careful about how you grade things and how you submit things and stuff like that, and you know, they come back 9s, you make your money back. They come back 10s, you know, you double your money. That's pretty good risk versus reward, and I think there's a lot of value in this 90s basketball right now. Jesse, have to do some homework, but if you stay live, I'll definitely tune back in. If not, this was fun. Hope you have a good night. Jesse, thank you so much for all your contributions to the channel and the community. I really appreciate you being here and being able to talk with you. Yeah, do your homework, bud. Get some grades, man. Make that money. Have a good night, buddy. If I'm still on here, I'll see you later. Still hot. Still got one diehard in the chat. Is that you, Donna? You know, I think at one point we had 4 viewers on this, which the way I look at that is a huge success. I'm just, you know, super grateful to have anybody, you know, tuning in and being able to keep me company going through this with me. I really didn't necessarily expect to have anybody in here. So thanks, everybody. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I am, let's see here, getting to the bottom of the stack here, so I will probably, maybe be on here another 15 to 30 minutes, and then I'll be logging off and getting some rest. It's 3 o'clock in the morning where I'm at right now. Actually, is this? I didn't even really look at this card, but again, another card that, oh, it's got a little bit of a corner ding on the back right there. This little white spot, and I don't know how much they'd take off for that. But let's leave it up anyways, because I do think that's still, even with that, is probably a 9. It might come back an 8. I wouldn't. It's not, unless there was a big oversight, it's not going to come back a 10. But I'm just leave it up nonetheless, because it's a Shaquille O'Neal rookie card. And if you've never seen the movie Blue Chips, I highly recommend it. It's got Nick Nolte and Shaquille O'Neal, and it's about it's basically about like corruption in college basketball in the early 90s. It's pretty much what the movie's about. But yeah, super fun. It was made pretty close to Shaq's rookie year. I need to watch that movie again. I haven't seen it in a long time. But you talk about a guy that had a lot of cultural significance that a lot of people don't remember. I mean, Shaq had rap albums. He was in movies. I mean, early in his career, had Shaq Diesel. Shaq Diesel was his rap name. And he had rap albums and movies and, commercials. He started his own line of shoes that he sells through Walmart. And a lot of people clown on him about that. But Shaq's proud of that, He'd say, the Shaq shoes through Walmart have provided sneakers to, good quality sneakers for a super low price to a lot of kids that never would have had the opportunity. And that just says a lot about Shaq, And I like that. I really like that. This is a Stadium Club Members' Choice. So Members' Choice was sold in sets, but I also think you could get them out of packs, as like a parallel. So this card has a little higher value percentage. And again, really nice card that could potentially come back at 10, would probably come back a 9. I don't have really high expectations of really any card to come back. I don't expect any card to come back at 10. I can have a confident feeling about a card, and I know that if I do my part and try to submit only stuff that I feel confident about, that I'm going to do fine. But you never know. But yeah, I like that card. I wonder what that card sells for. Is this a 92 or is this a 93? This is 93 Stadium Club, 201 Shaq Members' Choice. So I'm not sure. Yeah, that's his rookie. Another good one. Another one that I feel pretty good about. Have had a lot of luck with this bunch. Let's see here. We'll look this one up. Oh yeah, Members Only is the set that you could buy. Members Choice is the parallel to Stadium Club. Stadium Club, Members Choice, check. So this card in a 10 is selling. Here's one for, wow, it's all over the place. It's really all over the place. In the same day, one sold for 86 and one sold for 205. What in the world? There's got to be something off on this. No? Yeah, that's an, wait. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's an old PSA holder. That might have something to do with it. I still don't know why that would go for so much less. But I think, so this one's also the old PSA holder. So you see how there's no label right here, no hologram label right there. So that was an older version. And then this one was a little bit newer, I think, where it has a label, but it's not a hologram label. And then this is the most recent one. So yeah, I would say this card sells for $100 in a PSA 10. Yeah, it's got this hologram label, the holo label or whatever they call it. Huh. Cool. Good enough. Let's see what the Flir sells for. These last two are 92, 93 Flir. Flir. Check 298, 401. So, sold items, yeah, $120. That one sold for 200. But that's all right. So not to hate on people, and I'm really not, but you will often see PWCC and Probstein listings selling for way more than a lot of these other people, than your regular people listing. And I don't know what's going on there, but I don't see why somebody would pay, 40% more for the same product on eBay, where, eBay's pretty safe place to buy, especially buying a PSA 10. I do not understand that. I'm not saying there's anything funny going on there. I obviously don't know that. I'm just saying I don't know why anybody would pay that much more, and you often see that in their listings. So this one, so let's see here. This one's going close to $300 here recently. That's cool. So this one's going for about 130 in a 10. This one's going for close to 300. So let's see what the condition of these is like. Wow. Looks good, but also this one's way too off-center to get a 10. Might get a 9. It might be worth submitting for a 9. Because we've got, right to left, centering's good. Up and down. This is the slam dunk version. That's why it's less. But, pretty much perfect corners, pretty much perfect edges. This whiteness here is a print imperfection, which PSA does allow for print imperfections. But again, you can see a lot off center. It's very off center on the back. So that's not a candidate. I am going to put that. This one's not either. You can see there's significant off centering. So those are not going to go in that 130 or 200 $100, they're not going to come back in a 10. That's pretty obvious to me right there. And actually, that second one's off center enough. It might come in an 8 if it was sent off for grading. But nonetheless, you know, good cards, very good condition otherwise. And I will go ahead and put them in some rookie card top loaders, and I'll hold them and sell them at a later date. I've been stocking up on my single top loader rookie cards for an undisclosed potential future business venture, which I will not go into at this time. I'm just going to leave you all wondering what that's all about. But again, perfect corners, perfect edges, just off center, left to right. So, great card there. All right. Any questions before I log off for the night? Really appreciate whoever's out there. Stay tuned for the end of the stream. I really appreciate it, and hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night or day, depending on where you're at. Yeah, good luck with everything.